almost the same area. You gotta love the Delmarva Peninsula.
Yeah. And the Eagles.
And the Eagles.
Let's not forget it.
But I will tell you this, guys. I've fished with Glenn several times, and every time I've been with, on my birthday, and last year was with Billy, this past year was with Glenn alone. And if you ever have indigestion or hiccups for over 24 hours, don't go on his boat because it doesn't go away. On my birthday, for over 24 hours, I had non-stop hiccups and could not stop it. Couldn't get anywhere. But I promise you this, every time I've gone out, the coolers come back slap full of fish. And when he says we're going to catch this, this, and this, we're going to catch this, this, and this every time. So
We have a little bit of fun.
a little bit.
So I
Captain Glenn
appreciate it.
Taylor.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you getting invited back here twice. I was surprised. First time, you don't know what to expect, but inviting me back twice. I would like to tell a real quick story and actually show this before I begin. My son couldn't make it tonight because he has soccer, and it was like his first soccer practice in like 2 or 3 weeks. So he's starting to look like me. So I said, son, you need to get out there. So he was pretty disappointed. He wanted to come over here, and he's fishing tournaments. Well, last year he fished it, and he fished in the youth division. It was actually the year before. And he won the youth division, and he won this rod and reel right here. And then tonight I told him I was coming over here, and that Steve and the guys over here were going to start donating, or they wanted to collect rods and reels. To guess, what are you guys donating them to needy children or something like that?
Yeah, it's there's a couple of people over on the guy on the other side that does work on both. The minister we met on the other side that night, he takes they have little tournaments for these kids, and what Butch and Val Castleberry, the owners of Boat Steering Rebuilders, one of Billy's sponsors for the show, are going to piece them back together. You know, if they're going to take what they can and make whole from what they've got.
Right.
And then we'll give those to the kids for them to take with them when they leave that tournament. That's what they want to do.
So my son is on the internet, and he's reading and all that, and he knew that they were looking for donations. He goes, Dad, will you please give this to Mr. Hoffman? I won this at his tournament, and I want to make sure that a needy child. So what you guys are doing, I really want to appreciate it. It really reflects on me. I'm proud, to be part of you guys, and you're inviting me over here and stuff. And my son wanted me to make sure that Mr. Hoffman got this. He wanted it. He said he appreciates it. You guys at Southshore, I've been doing a lot of reports here lately. I got a collar shirt on. My wife was like, golly, Dave, will you please, man, look halfway decent besides the T-shirts. See, most everybody's in T-shirts here, so you might feel a little comfortable. I put a shirt on here, so I figured at Southshore, I hear it's really congested over here fishing and all. So I figured, man, maybe this shirt here would help everybody. Just a little joke. I'm here to talk tonight with you guys about sheephead. Right? Boy, I don't know if there's a fish in the bay that gets a really bad rap as bad as a sheephead, or gets praised like a sheephead. Right? People say, oh, it's a sheephead. I mean, how many different names is out for that fish? I mean, I know like 3 or 4 different names for a sheephead. Anybody else got another name for him?
River chicken.
What is that?
River chicken.
River chicken? That's a new one I've never heard of. River chicken. Anybody else?
Convict.
Convict fish. You got the stripes on there, right? Mother-in-law fish. I think I've heard, or is that something else? I think that's an oyster toad, right? But we call them goats. I guess over there I've always called a sheephead a goat. So it's a fish that, like I said before, it kind of gets shunned upon. It's kind of ugly looking. It's got big spikes. But boy, if you really look at it, they're pretty easy to catch, right? Not bad.
If I can do it,
These guys caught 15 the last time, so man, if you want to share some tips and all, we get you talking. Yeah, that's a great job. You have a really big limit, right? 15 a person. I mean, that's more sheephead or fish than anybody needs. But at least FWC and the Gulf Council hasn't come in and said, hey, you're only allowed 1 sheephead on the full moon every 3rd month, and you got to stand on 1 leg to catch it. Right? So you got big limits on them, right? They're fairly easy, and they're plentiful. So it sounds like it's pretty good to me. And then the other side of it, you can catch them on light tackle. There's, several different ways you can catch them. And then if you talk to the fly rod guys, I know we got one fly rod guy back. Anybody else likes to throw the long rod? We have another one here. You have one over here. Is there any fish that's harder to stalk than a sheephead on the flat in the middle of the winter in Tampa Bay? I know a redfish is tough, but I mean, how's your experiences on them?
I call it 4 man's permit.
4 man's permit. They're about as hard. And I was talking to Captain Carlos on the way up here, and I said the only other achievement that I know in this area that's, looked upon any higher than catching a fish on a fly as a permit, and then the next one is a sheephead. So all of a sudden, we're talking about this lowly sheephead that's like 18 different names, and then all of a sudden it's revered over here on the fly rod. I mean, that's a pretty wild-looking fish that we have here. Heck, if you go up to somebody here in Indiana, there's some other people up here from, like, where is it, the Great Lakes, they catch a sheephead. I've been up there fishing for walleye. They smack them in the head and say, damn, fish is useless, and throw them overboard. I'm like, man, we love sheephead where we're from. So they get a bad rap, but they're really a pretty awesome fish. I mean, if you guys really get on them. There's 3 different ways that I kind of target them. It seems like in the beginning of the season, when it gets colder, they kind of group up more. When I see them in the first, I see them on the edges of Tampa Bay. So we're running the docks, and I'm talking all the way up past Gandy. I mean, all the way down to Boca Ciega Bay, and you don't know which dock is going to be holding these sheephead. And that's where I see them first start gathering. About a month and a half ago, I was out with a couple of buddies, and we were fishing some docks, and there was this black wall coming at us, and I thought it was mullet. So I had a shad net. I said, come on, let's go grab the shad net, let's toss it on them, and let's get some mullet with the shad net. They come up, I'm on my bow, I throw it, and I just nick it. I really don't hit the black wad that's moving through. I just kind of nick it, and I was like, man, I still think I struck it pretty good. Well, I start pulling my net in, and I have 9 nice sheephead stuck on the outside of my net. I mean, I really stroked them. I mean, my net's jumping down and going around and stuff like that, and my net's just absolutely loaded. So that's when I see them first start. So when I see them going down the dock line, I'm like, And then I start seeing them on the flats. You see them in the summertime, see them in the wintertime on the flats. And then finally, it seems like later in the season, I catch them more on the rock piles on the edge of the shipping channel. Right, bigger rock piles, that's where I catch my bigger fish. All right, so when I'm first starting, I just brought a couple rods here. When I'm first starting for them, and I'm looking at docks, or if I'm looking at, say, on the flats, on a dock, I'm using a little bit heavier rig, but boy, it's a simple fish, and I'm just using the jig head. That's what I'm using right here. I don't really need a big, long leader. And this is mostly for dock fishing. I will use a little bit stiffer rod than this G Loomis here. On the flats, I'm also using jig head. So whether or not I'm fishing the docks when they're first coming around, or I'm fishing the flats for them, 9 times out of 10, I'm fishing a jig head and then a bait that I'm putting on. And then the baits, it will be one of the last things that I'll talk about. So if you're dock fishing, I'm still using this. If I'm flats fishing, I'm still using this. Any questions at all? Has anybody's tried to fish them on a jig at a dock, see them in the flats? They're really challenging fish on the flats.
Are you using like the smallest jig head you can find, or the smallest hook, or is it?
You know what I'm doing? I'm letting them sit. I guess the biggest thing I'm doing is I'm getting my shrimp. And I had one shrimp. I stopped at O'Neill's Marina and brought one shrimp over here, but I think he blew out on the Skyway Bridge when I was flying over here. He wasn't in the back. I couldn't find him. But I thread my shrimp on, and then I let it sit. So I like a 1/4 ounce, maybe 1/4 ounce, maybe even a 1/2 ounce, and I like it to sit. The larger jigs, for me, it's easier to skip, right, when we're trying to skip under the docks. For me, it's just easier. The heavier the weight, it's easier to skip. I can somehow send it back farther, and I don't seem to mess up as bad an errant throw when I'm trying to sneak the jig off the dock.
Glenn, are you sight fishing?
Yeah, we do a lot, especially on the flats. I mean, you can see them, like we went out the other day before the front came in, and I was seeing them solid on the pilings, real solid. I went to a couple rock piles. I hit a few, not the real big ones. So for me, the way I'm doing my fishing, it's a little bit later before they seem to really get onto the rock piles. Maybe in the upper bay and all, they get on there, but I'm fishing mostly the edge of the shipping channel, and I don't see them as thick. Maybe this cold front. And that'll bring me up to my next point, my favorite way to fish them, besides on a fly rod. I'm telling you guys, there's nothing like trying to catch a sheephead on a fly. Steve, I got a couple other rods for you. I was talking to old Mr. Klein over there, Stowaway, and him and he did a lot more sheepheading than I did. And I asked him, I said, well, how do you rig up? And he had the typical fish finder rig, swivel, and there. And he goes, well, how do you fish it? I said, well, I fish it a little bit different. I like a knocker rig. And that's really the way I like to fish. When I'm fishing a sheephead and I'm 20, 25 feet, I like going straight knocker rig. And then what I'm using the long shanked hooks. And once again, I'm ripping the tail off the shrimp and I'm threading that shrimp on there. I don't care if you have hands of stone, no touch whatsoever. You you can't feel a thing if somebody's pinching you, you're going to catch that sheephead if you got that shrimp threaded. You know how the old saying goes, you got to set the hook and you got to jerk it before they even bite? Thread your shrimp on there. He's coming in, he's coming up with you. He really is. You know, and I like this. Yeah, it's a one-off mackerel hook. Now, Neil, you started doing it with me, and your results went?
Yeah, we do quite well.
Yeah, yeah, you do real quite well on those sheephead. But did you see a big difference between the knocker rig and the fish finder rig when
Well,
you use?
You know, what I was telling you, the difference is you just don't get wrapped up on the rock piles down on the bottom like you do
With the leader? Yeah, that's what Neil kind of thinks. Because, you know, if you got that sinker that's way up here, and you got your swivel, then you have 2 or 3 feet of leader. A lot of times, that bait will get wrapped around that rock. Maybe the sheephead's not going to bring you in there like a grouper, but he's going to bring you in there. When I'm fishing on the bottom, I like about 40-pound test, because there's always nice surprises, when, you know, especially if you're using shrimp. Hogfish, real nice surprise. They're in pretty solid right now. You get, what is it, the Hubbard special, the grunts, right? Everybody loves the Key West grunt, gray snapper, I guess they call them. We catch a lot of them when we're doing that. If we're dock fishing and we're looking for them, of course, you know, we're catching redfish, we're catching speckled trout. So it's a lot of other fish that you can catch with the sheephead. But man, I'll tell you, full moon, boy, they bite. Doesn't seem to matter with the full moon. New moon, they're biting. Cold weather, they love it. Hot weather, they love it. Baits, right? Shrimp, don't have to throw a cast net for it. Right? Don't have to worry about having a live well that could pump 1,500, 1,000 gallons of water and keep your thread fins alive, you know, as you're running through the backcountry over here. Crabs, fiddlers, right? Bueno's real good with the fiddlers. He likes hooking them in the leg, in the joint, right? That's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you on the fiddler crabs. Don't hook them through the shell. You hook them through the shell, you get a lot of smell that comes out of the crab, but the shell cracks and the sheephead can suck the crab off.
How do you thread your shrimp?
I tend to bite the tail in my mouth. I know it's a pretty bad thing. The orthodontist doesn't like it, but I think it just adds luck to me. So I'll get a shrimp and I'll bite the tail off in my mouth, and then I'll start with the legs, and then I'll just curl them around. So my hook is coming out basically out of his mouth on the bottom. So it looks like legs. So when you see my hook or you see my shrimp, you don't see my hook. There's nothing showing on my hook. Just the point. So I'm going through the tail, so I'm getting my shrimp. Right, here's my shrimp with the legs, and I promise I brought one. And then I'm bringing it around, and then I'm coming right out of the shrimp's mouth. Shrimp does have a mouth, right underneath the horn. Any other questions on hand come up anywhere?
Glenn, have you tried using circle hooks? Or are you
I
just
do.
using jig?
I use circle hooks, Arnold. I like circle hooks. I like a circle hook more if I'm sight casting to them, so I can see them take it up and I can reel down. I like it that way. But if I'm bottom fishing for them, I like, just because I can thread it on better. You know, it's just, for people that are coming down fishing, it's kind of tough if you're just putting them through the horn or you're putting through the tail. But boy, when you thread them on there. And you know how I learned that trick? I learned it years ago bone fishing. When I used to go over Biscayne Bay, and it was really bad conditions, and we couldn't sight cast to the bonefish. So we would basically call booger fishing. We'd get a bunch of shrimp, cut it up, small chunks, throw it in a hole, wait for the bonefish to come in, and then we'd have a shrimp in there, thread it on. And sometimes we'd have a shrimp threaded on here, and then we'd have another shrimp right up here with the tail bit off too. Try to bite the tail off, I swear it works. I don't know why, but it really does work on there. You can twist it off, but you can use the circle hooks. You know, I like them sight casting, light tackle, bottom fishing, I like thread them on there. Circle hook is great for the crab, for the fiddler crabs, because you can get right through the joint. It's really skinny wire, so it really doesn't affect them very much. So, any other questions? Or I know it's sheephead, and not many things out of sheephead.
What's a big one? Or what's a
We catch them routinely up to 8 pounds. Yeah, monsters 10. Anybody remember Asian green mussels? Remember those things? Right, they were supposed to take over the bay and all that, then we had the big freeze. Well, there was nothing better than a big Asian green mussel on a hook, drop down for an 8 or 10 pound, what I call go. Those big 8, we used to go to the Skyway, and we'd have like a snag hook, and we'd throw them by the pilings, and you'd snag up these Asian green mussels. Or when you get the Hoffmans that come over, I had Jay-Z, Jack came in, he was back from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So you have the young bucks, right? There's only a couple rules. Strong back, weak mind. Jay-Z, Tiger, perfect candidates for it, man. So I was like, guys, I got a bushel basket here. Let's go to my dock. Let's knock off some oysters. Make sure we're knocking off the oysters when I pull my dock in so I'm not scratching my Calcutta when it goes up to the dock. So let's get those oysters first, and then we can use them for chum, and then we can use them for baits. So if you want to go that route, works great. Just make sure you have the right guys on board for that. Jay-Z
bring
comes
gloves.
back at me, man, and he looks like he's, Edward Scissorhands. Blood's all over his hand and whatnot. And I'm like, come on, man, fill the bushel basket up. We need a little bit more. But just be careful. Wear gloves if you're going to go to the oyster. You know, they work. Barnacles work. So much work to go together.
You know, I fished them in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do there is you tie up to the bulkhead,
Right.
and then you take a scraper
Yeah,
and
sir.
scrape the
Yeah,
barnacles
get a hoe or
down
something
and
and
fish right into the
right in
fire.
there. Yeah. That's not bad.
And
That's
you
not
have
a lot of
and you
work.
have to hook them before you feel them.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. There's a kid that used to work at O'Neill's Marina. His name was Eddie. He was an Asian guy. He was probably the best sheephead fisherman I've ever seen. He would also get a long shank hook. He'd come visit me in John's Pass on the boardwalk. He goes, "I'll be right back." And he would run to the dock where Hubbard's is, get 2 or 3 barnacles, put the barnacle on the hook with like 1 or 2 pieces of split shot, drift it by the dock, come up with a giant goat. Almost every time. Eddie was a real good fisherman. Really was. So the sheephead guys, 3 different ways: docks, flats, and big rock piles later in the season. You want that 8-10 pounder. Fish the edge of the shipping channel, especially in March. Well, I'm telling you now, with this full moon and this cold weather, they're going to go off now. Because, I've been striking them. Did you see a lot of them? Where were you guys fishing at? Not exact.
Cockroach Bay,
You were fishing cockroach, so you were fishing the flats for them
flats, we go into the channel, little channel guy,
in the channel?
back stream,
Yeah. And you got 50. That's pretty awesome,
15,
man. Yeah. Nice size ones?
nice idea.
Did you poke yourself when you were cleaning them?
That what?
Did you poke yourself when you were cleaning them? Did a fin get to a spine?
Oh,
No?
we got the pliers.
You got the pliers and you hold them? You need to come over there and take some fish for me.
We got, for the bait, we go early in the morning, like right after the cold front,
Uh-huh.
it was a perfect day. It was like a warmer day, that's
Right.
when they feed, they just go out there and feed. We hit the low tide, we hit the oyster beds,
Right.
we crush all for stone crabs,
You getting the little rock crabs and stuff in there?
anything like that, we
Yeah.
cook them on,
Yeah.
just throw them down into the channel. So we could-
And notice how young these lads are too. They're walking out on a mud flat, turning over rocks, picking up crabs. That's a young man's game right there, Bill. Results are awesome.
Hey, I'm doing it, I'm not young man.
You come fishing with me, we're gonna have about 15 dozen shrimp, maybe a couple dozen fiddler crabs. I'll answer the door. Unless I got the Hoffmans with me, then we're gonna be getting some oysters and barnacles and stuff. But that's a great way to do it, fellas. I remember the little tube worms, right? We used to dig them up for the tube worms.
What is that, too?
A tube worm is just a worm that's growing, right where you're walking in the marsh and all, and fantastic bait. Earthworms. Was that you, Billy, that was telling me about the earthworms? Somebody was saying, just go get regular, not even night crawl, just a worm.
Hey, guys, in Carolina, just use like bloodworm.
Yeah, the night crawl.
Yeah.
They bite you too.
Bloodworm.
You ever have a bite to the bloodworm?
Yeah,
Oh,
I freaked out. I
Little
freaked
mouse
out.
on the things, man.
I remember surf fishing with Dad, and I was maybe 6 or 7. And dude, I'm sitting there holding that worm, all of a sudden that thing comes jetting out, and you see these little claws, and I'm like,
Like
what?
alien. He's like alien, that mouth comes out of it. It'll scare you too, man. But it's a lot of fun. I just want to thank everybody again. I really don't have much more. I want to keep it kind of short. Steve, I know, has something else to say. Yeah?
Always.
Come on.
Hey, Glenn,
Yes, sir.
when you're doing the knocker rig,
Mm-hmm.
what size blade are you using
As
mostly?
light as I can get in the current. I'm not.
Just so it keeps it down, that's
Just
all
keep,
you want.
and that's a great point too, Billy. Don't be that guy. And I get guys on the boat that have their bait down for 4 seconds, lift their hook up, and then drop it right back down. Lift the tip of the rod off, dropping their sinker back down.
Tap, tap,
Don't work
tap.
Tap, tap, tap. And it's more like boom, boom, boom. You guys are lifting your sinker up and then dropping it back down. Guess what that's doing? Fishies don't like that. They get scared, what is that noise? So keep your sinker on the bottom. Just a little bit of slack, but enough so you know he's going to pick it up. You're going to feel anything on this knocker rig. As soon as that bait starts running out, and he's not going to feel that lead. I do not like using a sinker with a double swivel, but keep your sinker flat down. And if it's rough, keep more, all right? Because you're gonna be going up and down in the boat, up and down in the boat. If everybody's doing that, you're not gonna catch a lot of fish. It's like being in the flats and you're stomping on the deck. They're hearing it. You know, it's like when you're throwing a fly and you throw your fly into the land, it's hard. The fish go up. Jig, you throw a jig hard, right? You got a redfish right there, you throw a jig hard, lands hard, fish is gone. This is doing it every time. Keep it flat on the bottom. And fish it. Fish 4 or 5 people. Get out there, man. I mean, you're allowed 15. They're tasty. You know, they're great to eat. You can cook them a bunch of different ways. Tampa Bay's got a lot of them. And they're a lot of fun. Kids love catching them.
Billy, what's the big tournament they have in February? Is it the Pelican tournament or something up in the bay? That big sheep's head tournament?
Yeah, that's what Paul Arcos and the guys do
Yeah.
with, what's the name of that magazine? Saltwater Angler?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Has it- has an 8-pounder?
That thing has grown up to be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have a monster sheephead.
Oh, yeah. They have
They
12,
what,
15 pounds.
What,
Yeah.
last year or something?
Yeah.
How big was he?
I
13?
think it was a little over 13 pounds.
Yeah, if he's not over 8 pounds, don't even think about going in. I mean, don't even go to the weigh. I mean, it's a nice fish, you know,
Oh,
8,
man,
9
they
pounds.
fight, my God, I mean, you know, you talk about under those docks and stuff, man, they're strappers.
Oh, yeah,
They
you gotta
are
put it
strapped.
on. Like a grouper. You know, you catch a
Yeah.
6 or an 18, a 6 or 8 pound sheephead, it fights just like a grouper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even a hogfish too.
Like I say, they're tasty, they're pain in the butt to clean, I get stabbed every time I clean one, but
Yeah.
it's
But,
well
you
worth
know,
the effort.
right, you can fry them, right? You can boil them, make ceviche. How good is the ceviche with the sheephead?
It's a white meat, so it's really good.
Yeah,
I
he said
mean-
he had some boiled last night.
How was it?
That one of the best. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of the best fish you can use for chowder.
Yeah, make a chowder out of it and all that,
Yeah, because it's a firm,
Right.
real firm meat.
right? I mean, really, let's go sheephead tomorrow. I mean, if the weather is.
Hey, I'm
Any
gonna tell
other
you a fun
questions?
way to go sheephead fishing. You can actually legally go gigging for sheephead.
Yeah, yeah, you can shoot them too with the bow.
Yep.
Yeah, you can throw a net on them.
Yep.
That's my favorite way of doing it. You just gotta have somebody there to count to make sure, but sometimes you fellas, they come in clouds, man, I mean clouds. I'm looking for my fly rod first, my cast net second, so. Any other questions at all anybody might have?
Hey Glenn,
Yes.
you use an Albright knot to tie your leader on, or what do you use?
What do I use on this one? An Albright's a great knot, a uni's a great knot, whatever you're confident in, you know? And whatever knot you got here, I've got a, I think it's an Albright knot right here. I'm not even sure what I tied before I came here. Great knot, anything that's gonna hold, whatever you're confident in. Billy, what's your saying about knots?
Can't tie a knot, tie a lot.
So you better tie a knot that you're comfortable with, because you're gonna absolutely lose them. So, any other,
What kind of a fly pattern do you use?
I use a shrimp pattern.
Shrimp?
You know, some people might not even say it's got some lead head on it, and I use a sinking line. I know a lot of people don't use a sinking line. I know a lot of people like a floating line. It depends. If I'm fishing more than 3 feet, I'm using a sinking line. Yeah, it's tougher to cast, but boy, it just seems like I catch way more fish on the sinking line. I really do. And I'm using a shrimp pattern with the lead eyes on there. It's tougher to throw, especially if there's a wind and it comes back, you know. But you're going to get that. But I tell you, there's nothing more challenging. I mean, besides the permit here, there's nothing more challenging than get a sheephead on a flat to eat.
You throwing a 5-weight or
No, I like an 8, you know, or a
a little
9.
bigger?
Just for me, because it's normally you have a lot of wind, so it's just the larger the rod, it just seems to be able to cast better into the wind. For me, anyway, you know. I'm like golf, you know, what's your handicap? My stroke. Kind of the same thing with the fly, you know. I'm a hack out there. If I get it out, 60 feet or something like that. But yeah, and I like a sinking line. I know most people don't like sinking lines. I think my sinking line, I fell in love with that offshore fishing because I like to get my fly down a little bit deeper. Like if I'm out there and I'm looking for like tuna or something like that, I like to get my glass minnow a little bit deeper. You know, the sinking line, and I just got used to it.
Gotcha.
So unless I'm super skinny looking for trout or redfish, I'm using a sinking line and a fly that's got some lead on there. What do you like to use?
Yeah, I got a real small, it's a bonefish pattern that I came up, but I put lead on it. It's a shrimp.
Yeah, you put lead on it as
Yeah,
well.
I put lead.
Yeah.
It's gotta be on the bottom when they get to it.
Absolutely.
If you throw it and it's sinking on their head, but it's gotta be on the bottom.
Yeah, it's got to be sitting there.
It's gotta be sitting there when they get to it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the hard part. 'Cause They don't swim in, cause I'm mostly back here in Little Cockroach, so I'm in 1 to 2 foot of water.
Uh-huh.
Cause I don't, and like here tailing, you know, we don't see reds tailing over here. If it's tail, it's a sheep tail.
It's a sheephead, right. Well, a lot of people think they're redfish though.
Yeah.
And they say, how come that redfish didn't eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not a redfish.
Yeah. Yeah,
A
but
lot
yeah,
of
the
our-
shrimp patterns.
Do you have legs on them? On your shrimp pattern?
Well, yeah, kinda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, it's real tiny. It's like a number 6, number 8 hook.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm tying a version of a big ugly.
Well, yeah, because you're getting down deeper too. See,
Getting
I'm
down
fishing,
deeper.
like I said, 1 foot, foot and a half water.
Yeah, and you know, like Egmont Key, I love fishing out there near where those guys do the diving out there on that side of the rocks, you know, on the west
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
And not even the exposed rocks, but whatever those walls were or something underneath, man, did a sheephead get up out of it.
Yeah.
And that's when my sinking line and my fly with the lead really helps in that situation.
But I'm like you know, if I'm gonna go 3 foot or deeper, I want to use a sinking line.
You like that too?
Yeah,
on the sinking?
so, you know.
It's a little bit more difficult to pick up, especially if you're ready to pick it up quick and make another toss.
Yeah.
If you see one coming in, but man, I just have a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I said, you
That's the
know,
only way to get it down.
yeah, it's the only way to get it done. And I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I just know that's how I'm catching fish.
Yeah.
And I'm always up for anybody got any advice, except for I'm not going on the flats, crawling up mud, crabs and all. They do it.
Glenn, with the sinking, are you using a short leader?
No, a 7 foot.
Okay.
8 foot, something like that, fluorocarbon, you know, that's what I'm putting on there. Normally like 20-pound test. I like the Yozori. I mean, I'm not getting the tapered leaders.
Just a piece of flour.
That's what I'm putting on there. I seem to get enough energy transfer to my fluorocarbon without the tapered leader, and it's a lot less expensive, and I'm getting bites on it. You know, and I've tried them both ways. The ladyfish will come in and tear your tapered leader
The
up.
sinking line that you're using, the sinking lines have different sink rates, is it?
Yeah, well, mostly what the sinking lines are, it's just a thicker mono. That's what it looks like to me anyway. It's a denser mono, so it just goes down. And yeah, you get the intermediate. So however dense your leader is, it's going to determine the sink rate. And it'll have it right on the package for you. You know, once you get into that, I'm warning you guys. I know a lot of people over here like to throw artificials, and they're using jigs and stuff and whatnot. You grab a fly rod. I mean, I'm an old school tuna fisherman, and I use a green stick all the time and chum for those bluefins and big eyes. There's nothing more fun. I don't care if it's a ladyfish, a sheephead, whatever I'm catching when I'm catching on my fly rod. That's the feeling that you get, especially if you tie the fly. I mean, I know I'm getting off course here with the fly fishing. It's awesome. It really is. So.
Have you had any luck with artificial?
Flies. Really. Yeah, I mean, that's really the only artificial that I use. If I'm going to use an artificial, I'm going to be throwing a fly. You know, I don't know, maybe some crabs. Anybody use artificials on sheephead?
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like, I've used the little freshwater jig heads and the little, look like little grub worms or little grubs
Yeah.
with the curly tail.
Uh-huh.
Once in a while those, but it's got to be like that really small hook. The only problem is you're going to lose a lot. You're going to catch a lot too, though.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
that guy that will pull up the rock.
What's that?
I'm that guy that will pull up the rock and get the feathers.
Yeah, you are. Good, man. Get out there.
Well, you're retired. You ain't nothing else but
Come on. Grab extra, huh? I hear they use a white sheet technique like down in Fort DeSoto. They'll put the white sheet down, and then somebody will scare all the fiddler crabs, and then they'll pick up the sheet to corners, or then they use another thing with like PVC and a little funnel, and they funnel all them into over the 5-gallon bucket. I could probably do that.
Yeah, Billy told us use a hula hoop.
A hula hoop, just
hula
throw
hoop.
it around
Just
them.
throw it around them.
Yeah, they're not getting over the hula hoop.
No,
Yeah, it all works.
a hula hoop. It's crazy.
I got one of those.
You got one? You use a hula hoop too?
Them your daughter.
Yeah, good job, man. Get her out there throwing the hula hoop out there.
No, Tim, I see him in his driveway all the time.
Yeah, right. That is for his daughter, right? He knows how to use those hips. Any other questions at all, guys?
What's going off offshore? 'Cause I know if anybody doesn't know, Glenn's forte is offshore.
Yeah, I really love the offshore fishing. Right now, the red grouper, the gag bite is off the chain. You know, you can't get away from them. You have to catch and release. So that's really not much fun. The red grouper bite is fantastic. At about 70 to 90 feet is as deep as we're going. Not many tuna. I did get into some blackfin tuna about 10 days ago. And the cobia are still here. That's the cobia's been out there, but the red grouper, the snapper, I can't get them on the surface like I do in the spring and the summer, but I'm catching them on the bottom. It was funny, Billy called me up to give him a report, and I was out fishing, and he's like, how's it going? I said, good, man, good. Right when he called me, he said, hey, man, we just hooked a cobia. So I said, that was pretty cool. And I told him, I said, I've had a pretty good luck, on the cobia. So I'm sitting there fighting, and all of a sudden another cobia comes up. We grabbed that cobia too, so I called him back and said, hey, man, in the report, make that 2 cobia. We did just if anybody's keeping score, we did get 2 cobia on there. Had one on there, and then we got another one on. Always be ready for that other cobia. But,
We went out, my buddies were down for spring break in March. It was early March. And we go out with Glenn, we're actually kingfishing, remember that? We hook into this shark, and now we're just going on, and we got this great big shark hooked up. Next thing you know, I don't know how Glenn saw it, because it had to be at least 75 to 100 yards out. All I hear is Glenn hollering, cobia, cobia, cobia. He grabs the rod, throws the bait, all in one motion.
yeah,
And when
that
he
wasn't that
cast
smooth.
it literally, I saw I saw a big shadow, and it landed right on its nose. I hook into this cobia, it's the biggest cobia I ever caught. How big was the cobia?
He was pushing 50, wasn't he? Right around
With
50
ease.
pounds? Yeah.
But this is right after my shoulder operation.
Yeah.
Right after my shoulder. And I'm fighting this cobia. Glenn's high on to break the daggone shark off. We get the shark broke off. I'm fighting the cobia, and we've given the gaff to Jay-Z.
Anybody know Jay-Z, the brother?
My baby brother and I, the only difference is that he's probably got about 75 to 100 pounds on me, and I got about an inch on him. And we're like 2 people. We're at each other. It is the most competitive thing you've ever seen in your life. So I'm sitting there, I'm fighting this cobia, my shoulders throbbing and screaming the whole 9 yards, and Glenn hands Jay-Z the gaff. I get this cobia up, and Jay-Z sits there swinging a miss. That cobia is flying down. If anyone's ever caught a cobia, imagine a 50-pound cobia. It's worse than catching a shark. It literally is, because that fight is just absolutely brutal. So I do it. I get this boat, the cobia up to the side of the boat at least 5 times, and now Jay-Z's missing it intentionally.
He's beating the cobia on the head, man.
And it's just diving down, and it is absolutely killing me. And dude, I was sitting there, I was cussing at him, I was yelling at him, I was screaming at him, like, please just gaff this dude. I said, this shoulder can't take no more. But we got in, it was a huge, monstrous cobia.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's been a great year for cobia. It was a great year for permit this year. Great year for mako sharks. Sailfish has been on, they're hit and miss. It's been a solid year. Last year, 2013. So if we can have any type of year in 2014 like we did 2013, tight lines and smooth seas to a lot of you guys, man. I think we're going to have a great year. I really do. The baits are here. I mean,
Your
everything
favorite's
looks good.
Mako, isn't it? And your favorite fish, the Mako?
Yeah, mako shark. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's a big bill fish with teeth. It's my favorite. Permit's probably my second favorite. And then a tarpon, probably my third. And then snapper, fourth, and then whatever else. I don't care. Sheephead.
Every time we hook onto the tarpon, we always seem to lose it. And
Yeah.
we follow it with the rod, and
Yeah.
we can never keep it.
Yeah, they're tough to get on, boy. I tell you, they're okay to get a bite. Sometimes it's tough to get a bite, but boy, to keep them on there, that's tough. Using a big circle hook on them,
Big circle.
and they're still spitting it. You jerk it back real hard
Jerking back like 2 or 3 times.
after you feel the weight, after the line spins.
It starts pulling first. And
Yeah.
then
I lost 17 in a row.
17.
Like 3 years ago. I was on a stretch of 0 and 17. I thought I was
Lost
going
all
to
of
lose
them?
my mind. And then I got like 9 straight. It happened, man. You just got to hook more. And the more you hook, you get a better feel for it and all that stuff. But there's nothing like it, huh? Rather lose a tarpon than almost hook any other fish.
Exciting, man, when you see that fish jump.
Yeah, the big silver king coming out. I tell you, one of the biggest tarpon I've ever seen. I don't even know where he went now. Where's Will? Neil's son. There he is right there. We were fishing the Skyway Bridge. And I had a big, the current was like slowing down, or we had a strong wind and whatnot, so I threw an anchor, like drift sock back. You guys know what a drift sock is? It opens up. It's like 10 or 15 5-gallon buckets, and it swung my stern around so I could sit straight. And Will hooks a monster, and as soon as you hook a monster fish, everything goes wrong. Panic, chaos on the deck. Everything went wrong. Can't break us free. All right, I start up the engines, throw it in the back. First thing I do is get my big parachute wrapped up in one of my engines. Oh, like, oh, you kidding me? Will's like, hurry up, Captain, hurry up. He's about to spool me, and I'm just, So I start another engine. I have twin, right, and I'm trying to, turn around, and I can't because my sea anchor won't let me spin around, and he's got like 10 wraps. We hold it. But about an hour and a half later, Will got that fish in. That was one of my proudest fish with you. That was that big permit that you caught with me. That was pretty good too. That boy back there can fish. He's lucky. I mean, I don't know if he's lucky, if he's good, whatever he does, he's got a good feel for it. He's got patience, and that's what you need. All righty, guys. God bless. Great 2014. I hope everybody catches a lot of fish. Keep on supporting the old South Shore anglers. I know I will, and really appreciate you guys inviting me out here for a second time.
Thank you.
Rob, go ahead with me, and these are, we'll put them back in the corner over there.